What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 17 of Clips and Dip. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland. Will Updike is in Japan, doing who knows what right now in Japan. Hope he's having a great time. He will be back before the season starts. But the preseason has started, and we're here to talk about preseason game 2. We're just going to be talking some broad stuff, things we want to see happen, what we want to see from specific guys. Also going to rattle around some of those Kawhi Leonard quotes that were seemingly about wanting a power forward, and the Clippers losing their best power forward, some say, in PJ Tucker no longer being with the team. I know Adam doesn't feel good about that. If you're listening to us, thank you very much. You can find us anywhere you listen to pods. If you're watching us, thank you. If you'd like to watch, you can find us on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. Adam, before we get into it, how are you doing on this scorching October evening in Los Angeles?
Pretty good. Got my Diet Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Cherry, which is a really
How many quantifiers do we need
sophisticated
here?
and rare diet soda that is one of the best ever. I think I've talked about it before,
Where'd
and I
you
will
get it?
continue to because I can't live without these things now. So I need others to drink it so they keep it in supply. This was at Pavilions I found it, but I guess my buddy who's like from Oregon talks about going to a specific store to get it for his uncle because it's hard to find and he's shipping it in and this rare commodity diet soda that is very tasty.
Can you give up your spot where you get it, or are you keeping that? Oh,
Pavilions.
just
No,
Pavilion. Okay, great.
go get it. Go get it. I want them to know that it is in high demand and we need this around.
Yeah, people need to buy it.
I don't want this going the way of Surge.
Oh, come on. Yeah. And if you're not in an area with Diet Doctor, whatever this is, there's too many things for me to remember. Adam will ship you some. So go ahead. Diet Dr. Pepper, sugar-free with cherry and some Red Bull in it. I don't know.
With an Intuit rock at the bottom. No, nothing like that. It's Diet Dr. Pepper, Zero Sugar Cherry.
Speaking of Intuit rocks, shout out to the person who put their Intuit rock in a very majestic looking case. We did an Intuit rock giveaway when we first started, and someone put theirs in a very majestic case.
It was like the case with the rose and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
or like
it's that. Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck's Lucky Dime.
If they bury that rock, I think an Intuit will grow. All right. Let's get into the most serious thing we've talked about this whole offseason. Preseason game 2 for the Clippers. Some broad notes we got today. Terrence Mann's going to be starting for Chris Dunn tomorrow. I don't think that was a huge surprise to many people when we heard it, right?
No, you said you'd be concerned if T-Man didn't start the entire preseason, but just one game, who cares? No big deal. And we'll see what happens now with him in the starting lineup. I still think it's his job to lose. And as long as he fires and doesn't turn down 3-pointers like he did one time in that game on Saturday. Now he did turn it into a nice reverse afterwards. So I suppose it all worked out. All's well that ends well. But yeah, Terrence Mann has to stay with his pedal to the metal when it comes to attempting those threes from the outside.
Yes. And I'm excited to see because Norm is going to start next to him. We're all assuming that the three guards is going to be Harden, Norm, and Terrence, which we're slowly careening towards that being the opening day lineup. Again, we've talked about it on this show. And if you watched, again, it is preseason. If you watched game 1, the defense was there. There's building blocks for some really nice defensive pieces. The offense was rough. They couldn't really generate good looks, but it seems like Norm's in line to start the season. That quote that Law got from Ty Lue saying part of him figuring out offense and rotations includes whether to get Norm out early and bring him back with Zoo.
How about that? Tipping his hand a little bit. I, for one, am not surprised by this. I've thought the whole time that if Kawhi's not there, Norman Powell will likely be in the starting lineup because as much as you can say, well, what does that do to their defense if they don't have someone else out there? What is that going to do to their offense? You still got to score points, and they should still have 3 good defenders next to Norm and James Harden. Mm-hmm. And Norm also stressed the fact that they want him to get back to his defense that he played when he was younger. There's no reason he can't do it. He hasn't lost any athletic ability. He was a really good defender with the UCLA Bruins. He was a good defender with the Toronto Raptors. What has happened? He went to Portland and picked up some bad habits next to Dame and CJ McCollum, I think.
I mean,
That's what happened.
probably, yeah. Like he was never been on exactly teams that are like, we need you specifically to play some defense. Yeah, I'm excited to see this. It's something we need to see, obviously. I think Terrence will play better than Dunn in that opening lineup, strictly from familiarity. These are three guys who know how to play with each other. Granted, Harden only has, 92% of a season with these guys, but they know more how to play with each other than Chris Dunn knew how to play. And this isn't a knock on Chris Dunn. It's just a timing thing. I think we're going to see a smoother offense opening this game for the Clippers.
Yeah, and I've talked about Chris Dunn and his 3-point shooting over his last 150 games. Basically, the last 2 years, he combined to play 88 games for the Utah Jazz. After at one point, it looked like he could be out of the league. But he ended up shooting during that time over 40% from three. It's just not a whole bunch of sample size there for you. So what's real when it comes to his 3-point shooting? He aired the one he took on Saturday.
So did
a lot
James
of guys,
Harden.
missing shots. It's preseason game one. There were 20 turnovers, I think, by both teams in the ball game. It was sloppy basketball, to be expected. I still think his offense can be a little bit underrated. He's got some float game to him. He can create for others through his playmaking. He has averaged, I think, 5 assists before multiple times, or at least 4+ assists per ball game multiple times. But yeah, I like Terrence Mann as the guy, unless the thinking is somebody else brought this up, but Chris Dunn playing the Pat Bev role like we saw in Houston next to James Harden does make sense to me, because Pat Bev, like Chris Dunn, could bring the ball up at times. Absolutely could. And that could, release some of the pressure of James Harden having to do it every single time, and how taxing that's going to be if Kawhi's missing games and so much is on his plate. Maybe just that. People think it's a little thing, but I don't. I think it accumulates.
You got to manage everything. It's like every possession, you're the guy calling everything out. It's not. We know that he is the system, but it's not.
35.
Yeah.
and
he's version 35 of the system, guys.
You see him today practicing a ton of catch and shoot stuff. So he is trying to get. It's not that he's not good at it. He's just not used to it. So he kept turning them down because it's just unfamiliar to him. But we know he is good at it when he actually takes those shots. So it just needs to be a little bit more natural for him to play off ball slightly more, as he did at times with the Houston Rockets, playing next to CP3, playing next to Pat Bev. There were other guys there where he wasn't always playing point guard. He was playing shooting guard a lot. So maybe he could just be more of a combo guard there at times, and Chris Dunn could help in that area. And so can Terrence Mann. He can bring up the ball too. We know that. So whether either of those guys, to me, as the starting 2 spot, being defenders and guys who can play make a little bit and then spot up, shoot, and catch and shoot from the outside, I'm comfortable with a guy like that next to James Harden.
I also, the other part of the quote that interested me, and we're thirsty for basketball because we're breaking down a quote from Ty Lue in preseason, when he said the Norm thing about get Norm out early and bring him back with Zoo. My head goes to hearing Norm talk about his pick and roll playmaking abilities, wanting to be better at those. Maybe Norm's coming back as the backup 1 and Dunn is the 2 next to him, or something like that. And again, this is just speculation, but that's where my brain went when I saw that quote of like, well, hey, maybe Norm's going to maybe Norm will start the game as the 2, and then when he's brought back in with Zoo, can be the offensive head of that unit for a little bit. And just, I don't know. They have a lot of stuff to figure out, and it feels like that's a thing they'll try.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I think that would be a solid pairing. That's what I like about Chris Dunn, the versatility. He can play the 1 some, he can play the 2, he can play on ball a little bit, he can play off ball a little bit. So it lends himself to being used in more lineups, and you want a guy like that playing more minutes out there because of how good he is defensively, and he can help keep that mantra of this is our defensive identity, because when you see a guy like that out there playing that hard, it just reinforces the fact that this is how they have to win ball games. So I think he's going to be big for this team and can play in a lot of different lineups out there because of what he offers on the offensive end and what, of course, he does defensively.
And Ty Lue loves those kind of guys. Look at Terrence. Terrence has a million roles on this team. I think
Yeah.
Chris Dunn is going to have 999,000. Interesting nugget picked up from another quote. Ty Lue was talking about Zoo posting more with Scoot being in the game. Scoot is Kevin Porter Jr.'s nickname, which I Googled. And granted, Google has been taken over by their really bad AI program. Apparently, because I was like, why is his nickname Scoot? Apparently, it's the nickname Scooter, which has to do with his Web3 venture, which combined anime, NFTs, cryptocurrency, and a community for fans called Sakuda. It has since failed, but this might be the most random, this is how I got this nickname ever, if that is true.
Yeah, that's some Sauce Castillo level stuff right there.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, it failed. If you purchased NFTs, wrong podcast for you. Bad use of your money. I bought
Failed
it.
for now.
I bought a Jeff Gordon phone that was $50. It's probably worth the same amount as your NFTs at this point, but just weird. And also, basketball wise, KPJ and Zoo sharing the floor. We saw them work a little bit together in game one. Zoo set him a screen. He turned it into a difficult looking jumper that he did hit. But that's a part of his game that I think Ty Lue wants to be better is just to pick and roll, which is like the Clippers are kind of built on that. And if KPJ can figure out how to run the pick and roll
I think he can.
for your agenda, that would be huge for him.
For my agenda especially, but I do think he has been described as a poor man's James Harden. He's a lefty. He ISOs a lot, gets into his bag. Now, a poor man's James Harden could be an inefficient player that isn't that valuable in the league. He has to turn into somebody who is not so much a poor man's James Harden, but a serviceable James Harden out there, somebody that can mimic what James Harden does to bridge the gap in their offense and continue to hold on to that foundation of the high pick and roll. And I think that's part of the reason I believe, at some point, whether he's in the starting backcourt or just playing heavy minutes, I think this is someone that Coach Lue wants to develop and sees the vision for him being a big part of this team based upon his quote saying for us to have success, he's going to have a big impact. I really believe that. And he has some of the tools that you were looking for. It needs to be fostered and it needs to be more developed. And we need to see where he's at basketball wise after not playing since April of 2023. But I saw a lot of positives in that game because you see he goes 1 for 5 and like 3 of those shots were gimmies that he just would make any other time. And probably the toughest shot is the one he made. So I'm not overly concerned with rhythm and timing, but I want to see him play another 20 minutes in San Diego tomorrow night and continue to, give us a glimpse maybe into the future with what we can hope for with KPJ and how Coach Lue wants to use him.
And we're going to get into some stuff we want to see from specific guys in a sec, but there was a lot of bad stuff that we'd like to see changed from the first game. I put it in the breakdown. Adam, if I missed anything, please let me know. I got turnovers, transition defense, offensive process as a whole with highlighting the 3-point attempts and the 3-point percentage, because we saw what was bad about the Clippers last year, right? They lost the field goal attempts battle, which I hope people are worried about because that is kind of one of Ty Lue's things. And the process, everything just looked difficult. And again, it's preseason. Which of those things do you want to see worked? Which one do you just want to see a little better in game 2?
What is your comment regarding the 3-point shooting in this area and what happened on Saturday?
I think, I didn't think they got enough up. They got 35 up, but I think
I agree. Yeah.
Towards the end, it was like, okay, everyone's getting some threes up. This is cool.
You're right.
They need to be higher in the attempts. And I like Man, I wish Norm only played 15 minutes. I think part of this maybe too is because Derek Jones Jr. was in foul trouble. He only played like 11 minutes because he got that early foul trouble, and he took 3 threes. So I want him to take more, but I think it's just the amount of attempts and how just difficult they kind of looked.
For teams with lesser talent, and the Clippers kind of middle of the pack in that area, depending on if Kawhi's available, then all of a sudden, it's a pretty damn good duo they have at the top end. But they have to play the math game more, and the Clippers know this, and they've talked about it. And Norm, I think, even referenced exactly how many threes they attempted last season on average at 33 at Media Day, and saying how they need to get that up. That is an equalizer out there for a lesser team, because the number is shooting 33% from three is the equivalent of 50% from two. That's why teams do it. That's why it's beneficial. So even if you were shooting below league average at 33%, league average is about 36%, it can still help you with the volume at times. The Clippers have always been about taking the right type of threes, but I think they have to divert from that a little bit because beggars can't be choosers.
So make some stuff happen threes is what you're saying.
Yeah, like it has to be more based on volume than just, we're such a good offense before that they could really just pick and choose how they want to pick you apart. They have so many ways to beat you, so we're not going to force any bad three-pointers. They may have to force a few more. Like they may need to get to like 30. I would say get to 37 attempts per game. If they got up 4 more three-pointers per game and that was their average, 37 attempts, I think they'd be in better shape offensively. And it's usually a telltale sign that their offense is also humming a little bit, because you're hoping that if you're getting that many up, a lot of them are going to be open threes. Like if Batum is taking threes, they're usually going to be open threes because he's just catch and shoot guys. They have all these catch and shoot guys that aren't going to just create them or try fadeaway threes or step back threes with the crab dribble like James Harden. They have to be in their element and shoot them how they're comfortable, or in the way that they are comfortable. So I'm going to put the number 37 that I'd like to see them get at this season. That should be the average three-pointers attempted per game. I mean, even a team like the Lakers now with JJ Redick, they know what they're doing with that. He said, I'm glad we got up 43s. He joked about getting to 50 next time. But like, if you aren't playing some of these analytic games, like I can't stress this enough. The Boston Celtics, they got up, I think, about 40 per game in the NBA Finals. They only shot 33% from three, and they still dismantled Dallas in 5 games, even while shooting just 33% from three, because Dallas wasn't taking enough. Like they were pretty much DOA. Like for them to win that series, they needed to take more three-pointers. They didn't have the personnel. They don't have that type of offense. And the Clippers, this is something they're going to have to do. And James Harden knows how to get guys shots and knows how to get up three-pointers. Mike D'Antoni kind of revolutionized this. So the Clippers are equipped. They have the right guys to do it. They have the game plan. They know they need to do it. Just needs to play out. So I'm with you. Like they didn't take enough, at least when during more consequential minutes, you could say.
Real minutes. Like that's what's hard too, is that it's like very happy Kobe Brown made half his threes. Let's put it into some context. You know what I mean? I hope in the first half we see 20 3-point attempts, because that's when the most rostery guys are going to be out there. Good things to keep from the first game. There weren't a ton. And I don't mean that, again, it's preseason game 1.
My biggest concern also was they got out rebounded on offensive rebounds 19-9.
Dude, there was an image burned into my brain. I think it's Kai, and it might be Derek Jones
Kai
Jr.
looked rough, guys. Kai looked like a guy who had not played basketball in a long time and also just didn't have much feel out there at all.
He needs to set better screens.
His screens.
You're going to get time as the backup 5, which Harden was working with him in training camp today. If you're getting time as the backup 5, you have to set good screens. You can't half-ass your screens, dude. You're the only backup 5 we have right now.
He was setting like ghost screens you would set if you're about to pick and pop for a 3-pointer,
He
which
was
he
setting
wasn't.
3-on-3 screens, like where it's like a guy you don't know setting a screen. You know what I mean?
I am rooting for Kai, and I felt like I was almost overly harsh post game because it was a really tough performance from him. But I also was pushing back against people who, this was a good example of NBA basketball versus guy dunking and getting highlights in an open gym run. And you think, oh, he has all this athleticism. That means he can be the starter over Ivica Zubats, as some people are trying to tell us. Like, you guys have no idea what it's going to be like
He
out
could be
there.
good. He needs to figure it out, but
He's young and he's got time, but I think that probably should have been a wake-up call for the Kai Jones hive, thinking that he could start or even be the backup right away. He's not from that one game, and I hope he looks much better tomorrow night. He's not that close to where you want to see a backup big B at to play real NBA minutes. This is not Daniel Tice. This isn't Mason Plumlee. Like, he looked pretty far away from that. And it could come quick, and maybe it is just rust. He hasn't played in a while either. He hasn't played real minutes, but that was tough. That was tough to watch.
someone was mad at me because I did a little live after. Someone was mad at me. They're like, Kai Jones grabbed all our rebounds. What are you talking about? And I was like, let's chill. First of all, Kobe Brown had the most rebounds on the team. Second of all,
his boxing out was not good, guys.
That's my thing. So there's a clip. It was like, I'm trying to find the tweet that I sent from @ClippersPod, if you're not following us, where it was like, I think it was Kai and Derek Jones Jr., who does not like being called DJJ. We learned that today from La Murray. Do not call Derek Jones Jr. DJJ.
I was kind of sick of it anyways because it kind of was
kind of weird.
Tongue twister, and then you think PJ, and no thanks.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. It was Kai and Derek Jones Jr. letting pods get an offensive rebound. I'm like, guys, this shit cannot happen.
Kai
this is not good.
Kai looked like a guy with freakish athleticism that didn't have much basketball sense out there.
Yeah, which is what he is. It's no disrespect.
No, it's not. Like, he didn't get many minutes on a bad Charlotte Hornets team. He has potential. He does. And I am rooting for him. And I think he's going to get that two-way spot. But he does need to improve upon that preseason game 1 performance tomorrow night. He does. Absolutely. And that was, by the way, a big opportunity because Mo Bamba couldn't go in that game. I don't know if he's playing tomorrow. So Kai ended up getting over 20 minutes. So I don't if Mo Bamba's back, he may get less time. That it was consequential, or it could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, you know me. I'm worried about the backup 5 spot every day of my life.
It ain't March anymore. It's the backup 5.
Well, there are 17 games in one of the months.
It's so played out. I mean, come on. We get that every year now. 17 games in March.
Easy. Good things to keep from the first game. Harden and Zoo being aggressive. Harden looked phenomenal. Zubats, also phenomenal. I have no notes on their performances, except I would like to see James Harden hit more than 1 of 4 threes. But that's just nitpicking.
Hey, but that one was a 4-pointer.
That's true. Dude, the 3 that Norm hit was so funny. I've never seen a fuck you 3 as the first basket of the game.
it was kind of like, oh,
he just took the ball like, are we playing?
Yeah. Not going to guard me? F you then. I'll take this.
Well,
that's cash.
It almost looked like everyone but him knew which basket they were supposed to be going to. Because I was watching, I was like, did they blow a whistle? Why is no one next to Norm?
Norm looked amazing, by the way. He looked so smooth with it. That reverse layup he had with the left hand was nasty.
He's ready. We want to see more good Norm, good Harden and Zoo. And then Terrence activity on the boards as a starter is going to be...
That was a good call by you. I thought he was very good there last game.
Can he do it with the starters?
Yeah, he needs to.
That's kind of been his issue.
His boxing out was great. I thought it was obvious that he had an intent on getting boards, and that was part of the messaging coming out of training camp.
What other good thing would you like to see before we give these listeners, not the viewers have to stick with us the whole time, these listeners a quick audio break?
I need both Derek Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn to hit a 3-pointer.
Hell yeah.
Keep taking them, and I want to see both guys hit them just to remind yourself, get the confidence going.
Yeah.
Derrick Jones Jr. is coming off a bad finals series shooting wise. Chris Dunn, we just don't know where he's at with 3-point shooting, really. Not enough, big enough sample size. So put him up and do not shy away from it. Who else? Amir Coffey looked really good in game one. I'm not even worried about him. Like he
My
looked
player of
ready
the
to
game
go.
pick. You can tell. So I
That was a
talked
good
about this
call.
too. I think you mentioned this on your stream too. You can tell the difference between someone who's played in the NBA for 5 seasons, even at the role that Amir Coffey has had, and guys who have not played in the NBA at all. Amir knows how to do the job.
Amir, while they were getting most of their points were coming easily in transition, the Clippers defense was really good overall. When they were giving up points, it was on broken plays, basically, where Golden State was finding the open man as the defense was scattered. But outside of that, the Clippers were pretty good. I do want to see Jordan Miller take more shots.
Yes.
He only attempted 3, was 1 for 3, got a little push shot to go in the lane, which he was doing a lot of in the summer league. I just need to be more aggressive. I still like what I saw at the very end. He had 2 deflections on the inbounds pass, using that wingspan. But a more aggressive Jordan Miller, I'd encourage that for game 2.
Hell yeah. I could not agree more. We're doing an ad break. If you're listening, sorry about the ads, but we need to do that to keep the lights on. That's how we pay for special diet sodas and how I pay for 15 of the exact same hat so I can wear them for this show. Coming up, we're going to be talking, what do we want to see from specific guys? And we're going to just openly wonder if the game is televised or not. So we have some audio ads coming up. Visually, we're still here hanging out. If you want to miss out on these audio breaks, you can watch us on clippers.com, youtube.com/@clipperspodcast. Maybe one day, clippers.com. Probably not. But until then, we got some audio ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back in. It's Clips and Dips, Season 3, Episode 17. I'm Adam Oslin. We got Chuck Mockler. And Will Updike is out and about.
So he's still on the show.
He's gone. He's gone.
He might not come back from Japan. If I got
He's in another world.
If I got a text from Will that was like, "I'm not coming back," I'd be like, "Okay, I'm not."
Yeah, that tracks. I can see that from Will.
I'm sad. I'm not surprised.
He found his Scarlett Johansson, and he's out.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Is this game going to be televised?
I don't. Okay. Well, selfishly, I'm just going to say no because we're going to have it on the radio side, and I want people to listen there. But I think that's also accurate, at least in Los Angeles. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know for sure. But we'll have it on the Patriot AM 1150. 6:30 pregame.
Oh, we're on the Patriot tomorrow. Okay.
Dodgers are on 570.
God.
Hopefully not for much longer.
Okay, get out of my face. Don't do this to me. Don't do this. Don't.
Remember when I wore the Diamondbacks hat in the first round last year? The purple Diamondbacks hat. You guys are pissed.
Yeah, rightfully so. So we talked about Jordan Miller a little bit, and we're talking what we want to see from specific guys. Justin Rousseau, our favorite French Canadian reporter, had a tweet that Jordan Miller is like a go make something happen guy. And the Clippers this season are going to need people to just go make some shit happen. And I agree with you. I want to see Jordan Miller make some more stuff happen earlier in the game. I want to see him get some run with some guys who aren't 12, 13, 14, 15 on the roster, or against guys that aren't 12 through 15, you know?
Yeah. I want to see him be challenged a little bit with some first unit guys out there too. That'd be nice to see. Carlo brought up an interesting point because of, the flight back and not much time. Starters may play less in this game for the Clippers, and you could see more of the young guys and the backups in San Diego.
Okay.
Therefore, he might get his shot. He's also going up against, who was it? Jalen Wilson, who was the MVP of the Summer League when it should have been Jordan Miller.
Absolutely.
This is a Jordan Miller revenge game. That's written all over it.
That's so funny. Yes, more Jordan Miller. We talked about better screens from Kai Jones. No foul trouble from Derrick Jones Jr. I wanted to get your thoughts on this take that I had by myself, which occasionally can be bad takes that my brain comes up with. Derrick Jones Jr., if he's playing the 4, which we're kind of assuming he's going to be tomorrow night for the Clippers, he's smaller than the average 4, so he's going to have to use his body more when he's defending regular-sized 4s. The whistle that night really dictates how effective he's going to be able to be defending the 4 position. And I hope that he's able to get used to that in the preseason. Because they let a point guard beat the hell out of a center when they're guarding him, but they don't let a 3 just, manhandle a 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it made me think about how, the playoffs, they let so much go, especially the first couple games of that series. And overall, they swallow the whistle a little bit more, let you play more physical brand of basketball. There is hand checking at times, despite what people think. It is a judgment call. It happens plenty. And he benefits from that with his length and the way he's able to move his feet. I don't want to see him get into foul trouble. I want to see him get some confidence with his shot out there.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned earlier, I want to see him take and knock down a 3-pointer. Saw some footage of him working on catch and shoot threes earlier today at the new practice facility. First time they had an official practice there with the Clippers, which is pretty cool at Intuit Dome.
Oh, yeah.
It
All
is
red.
beautiful.
Love seeing the red. Yeah.
We've been out there on that practice court. We got the tour.
We have. I was hitting some catch and shoot threes. They didn't put that on the social media.
Oh, they'd set the bar too high then. I mean, my Dividend guys.
They said we have one of our lankier media members here to show you.
Damn.
Wow.
So yeah, I think if he gets run, he and Chris Dunn just need to, I don't know, find a little bit of a rhythm here and give us more of a look of how they're going to play during the regular season. I just want to see everybody kind of be a little bit more focused out there and more crisp with their play in general.
Yes, crisp is a great. I want to see it look like there's been a clear difference between preseason game 2 and preseason game 1.
Yeah.
And that rotation thing is interesting because we're like, I hope we get to see some more Cam Christie. If not for Cam Christie's confidence, And also, KPJ is probably going to play. What did he play last game? He played 15. I bet, given the rotation stuff, he's over 20.
Did he only play in the first half?
Yeah, so that was the other interesting thing. There was a clear, again, not crazy. There's clearly the top. Law Murray treated like that top 10. KPJ was split. He did 8 first half, 8 second half.
Did he?
That's what stats.nba is telling me.
Huh.
But the second half was dude, that's what's difficult about preseason basketball and where the argument comes in preseason versus summer league. In terms of the second half, that was brutal. It was not good basketball. It was a close game.
Well, they went, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, the Clippers had 3 points. They were having a hard time out there. To their credit, they called a timeout. JVG and Coach Lou got them back into some sets and some actions. And I think they had 19 points the last 7 minutes of that
it was crazy.
Third quarter. But yeah, they need to execute at a higher level in this game. I know progress isn't linear, but I don't think it's asking a lot to see a step up from game 1 to game 2 in the preseason.
Give me one standard. Was it 4-inch by 4-inch? That's the standard step. Give me a standard step up.
Yeah.
We're like that lady walking into a new year. She's stepping on 2024 and walking into 2025. Trying to think of what you mentioned tighter play. It's just really that, right? Better decision making, fewer turnovers, better transition defense. You could probably clip what we just talked about and play it for every loss the Clippers may have if they do lose a game in the upcoming season. But we're figuring out what needs to get fixed pretty quickly.
I'll give them credit for playing hard. I think it's almost working against them right now. There was great effort and the guys were playing hard. People are just out of position and out of sync, and there isn't that built-up familiarity. And I think Coach Lewis talked about this during training camp after some practices, saying, we're playing hard out there. We just got to play a little bit smarter. There's definitely be quick, don't hurry, John Wooden line when it comes to this team right now.
Yeah.
And you don't hate that. That's not the worst place to be. Guys are definitely competing. It's
Playing hard
just,
is good. Yeah.
yeah, they're just off. They're not playing together.
Totally. It's not a unit yet, which again, that's where I think tomorrow, however long the starters are going to play, it will be nice to see the Norm, Harden, man. Guys know each other.
Yeah, and I almost take back that comment earlier.
No takesy backsies.
Not to go against Carlo, but I could see starters still getting some run. Terrence Mann, we know, is going to be the starting lineup. Some run at least, because there's going to be, I think, just like in Hawaii, a little bit of fan service because they're playing in San Diego. They're in Oceanside. They're at the new facility there, and they want to put on a good show for the fans to get them excited about the G League that's going to be there all season long. So I think maybe the starters will get more run than I realized.
I like that. I mean, they need it. No disrespect to the starters, but
yeah, that's true too. Like if there's
they're new together too.
Not
right?
everybody has 5 preseason games. The Clippers do, and I think there's a reason for that. Like
great call. Yeah,
they need more time out there together. If any team does, there isn't as much built up continuity because so many of the pieces that are brought in are significant and have to be implemented. And then also you're just missing Kawhi right now. So playing more Harden ball. How do we do this? I know a lot of guys.
How do we do this?
Yeah, they have a good idea, but it's still it's one thing to know what you need to do. It's another to actually go out there and do it.
Totally. Who is your? I picked him your coffee for the Kawhi Leonard James Harden unified player of the game belt. Will picked Chris Dunn, who was not the player of the game. I don't think Amir Coffey was the player of the game either.
I think I had Norm.
That was the bet. You were right then. I think
nobody picked Zoo could have been it, but that almost felt too easy, right? We were like,
that's 5 for like, okay, yeah, he had 14 and 6. I'm like, exactly what I expected. Who's your pick? Who's gonna shine tomorrow night? Maybe only over the radio waves for the LA Clippers.
Carlo Amena is going to shine. Jordan Miller.
Hell yeah.
I'm going with Jordan Miller. 3 shots is not a lot for what should have been the Summer League MVP. And Jalen Wilson got another thing coming in this ball game. Oh, he's going to feel it. He already beat him in the Summer League head-to-head. His individual play was better. His team went further. There was absolutely no reason that Jordan Miller shouldn't have been the Summer League MVP. He's going to prove it tomorrow night.
I love it.
And give me a 14, 5 in 2 performance.
14. Okay, 5 boards.
2 assists.
2 assists. Okay, cool. I'm going to go. I hope Derek Jones Jr. doesn't push it too hard energy-wise, like you were just talking about in terms of playing harder versus playing smarter, like Dilbert's boss used to say, in terms of working. I hope Derek Jones Jr. comes out and most people are comfortable with him starting. I hope he shows why he's starting tomorrow. I hope we see some good defense. I want to see him throw one down. I just want to see a lob from Harden to Derek Jones Jr. I think it's going to be Derek Jones Jr.
Okay.
And I think Will would pick Kai Jones. We're going to say Will would pick Kai Jones.
PJ.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about PJ and then we'll talk about the Kawhi quotes. Was this the least surprising thing to happen?
Pretty much.
Like,
I had been asking everybody, so are PJ and Bones going to be at training camp, guys? Bones was there. PJ was there. I didn't see him on the court, but he was on the bench, but now he no longer is. He is away from the team. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I mean, I have an idea.
I think I talked about this when all this stuff first started coming out. I feel sad.
Because the guy doesn't realize where he's at in his career.
Yes. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. He's the second, I will say, the oldest, because I don't count LeBron as the oldest player in the league, because he is in a whole other section of human beings and how they take care of their bodies. He is 40. He has a ring. That's the other part is I'm like, dude, you have a ring. I understand wanting $11 million. I'm not knocking him for wanting to have his $11 million. I get that. But
I'm
like,
not either. I
well,
am knocking him for getting it and then saying, now trade me.
sure.
It's like
But
you could have gone wherever you wanted. You could have just not opted in.
right. But I'm just like bummed because man, you're done. And I don't mean this with like hate or vitriol in my heart, but you're 40.
Coach Lou said at one point last season, he was like, PJ Tucker's 75 years old. He was joking about the situation and him wanting to play and put it pretty plainly.
Like it's just it does bum you out. And it's not, it's different back in the day when like you wouldn't really hear about some of this stuff, but because of 24-hour news cycle, social media, all that stuff, like you know what I mean? You're just like, this is a bummer from a going out gracefully standpoint. Not that everyone should, but talking to the media, now he's away from the team. It's like, where do you want to go, man? They're trying to find a place to trade you. They cannot. It's not like the Clippers have been like, please play for us. This has been so good.
Dude, they've been
Like,
trying to trade you since the deadline and it didn't work. They couldn't find a trade partner. Like he's an expiring contract. They have that in their favor. People have brought up Kelly Olynyk to me. They have said Larry Nance Jr. It's like, guys, they're not doing that. There's
they're
no way
so
they're
much
doing
better
that.
than PJ Tucker.
Like, I don't care if they have an extra year in their contract. They can get more. Like, some people are bringing up what's his name from Portland who makes $30 million, which doesn't
Robert
even
Williams.
make sense.
Robert Williams, there's a lot of
No.
Clippers, some Clippers media as well. I would say borderline infatuated with the idea of trading Bones Highland, who we haven't talked about, who did not have a very good preseason game one, and PJ Tucker for Robert Williams. But I'm like, I don't think they would do that.
Probably not, even though Robert Williams is hurt again. And I don't see the benefit. The only benefit could be, does he have like 2 more years left on his deal? Like, I don't know. That's the
And then
only
we
thing
just
I can
have
think.
Robert Williams. And then we're just like, well, what do we do with Robert Williams now?
They're definitely, if they're getting rid of him, they're either going to have to package him with someone to get a player of significance back, or they're also getting back an expiring deal. They're not trading a guy for somebody else who's not playing that has an extra year on his contract.
He does. I was going to say, yeah, it's this year and then next year.
So I don't
13
think they're
mil
doing
next
it
year.
unless Robert Williams, they believe, can turn things around with his health, which unfortunately, man, I love Robert Williams. Like
Sure.
he should have had a ring with Boston. Like they could have won with him. And
Yeah.
he was playing hurt during the finals a couple of years ago. I wanted the Clippers to draft him. I was high on that, but
and then this is like, so now it's like, now where do you want to go, PJ? You want to go to Charlotte and play? Or do you like, what is the goal?
You also
here?
want a contender. Like you also want to be on a team that can compete this year. It's the ultimate to me. You want your cake and eat it too, where I want the contract. I want the 11 million. I also want to be traded to a team I want to go to. It's like, wait a second. You opted in. You don't have a no trade clause. Wherever we can send you at this point, we're sending you. That's how I would operate. But I think the Clippers, they're really trying to do right by him. They're really trying to accommodate if they can. Like, I don't know.
Because you kind of have to too, right? He talks
like his
to people.
agent could have, other guys that
He
you're
just
interested
talks
in.
to people. Yeah, like.
But are other people going to understand the situation the Clippers are in? This is really difficult right now. Like, this is not on them.
We need a 4 too. If he could play, the Clippers would play PJ Tucker. We need a 4.
I can't get over how he started a must-win game. I can't get over that.
I can't get over that, and I can't get over him saying he had the hardest adjustment of anyone in the James Harden to the Clippers trade.
Forgot about that one.
Speaking of 4s, are you reading into the Kawhi quote as much as some other people are? Kawhi Leonard, when asked about his position in playing power forward, who was the power forward last year? It's going to be the same thing pretty much, but we got to control what we can control. I probably ran the top 5 most miles per game last year, or top 10, all coming off a torn meniscus. So we got to see if that's beneficial for me or not.
With the way you put it, it does seem like messaging towards the front office.
I read it a little bitchily. I will say.
I still don't think It said he's stronger than what he said last year until we get a real one.
Right.
That
Very
was
good
pretty
point.
strong.
Very good point.
So him adding on to the fact, and he's right about this because Law Murray checked on the Clippers at least, he averaged the most miles ran per game. That doesn't seem, when we've been looking for this answer for a while, what's more physical, what's more taxing between playing the 3 and the 4? Apparently, it is playing the 4. Like, so in that case, I mean, I kind of agree with him. Like, whatever is going to have him have to move less out there is what we should want, right? Now, it's
Yeah.
easier said than done to just go get a 4. Like, who are they giving up? Who are these 4s that are all available? I don't know.
To start.
Yeah.
Starting 4s.
Like, could you just start Nico Batum there at 4?
You give him you give Nico the Gortat start at the 4. Right?
Yeah,
Long
yeah.
time. Wow. Maybe not long time, but I am getting older. Mid to long time Clippers fans. We'll remember the Polish Hammer, of course. He had the Gortat start. Like, he would play like 7 minutes or whatever, and then Zoo would come in for most of like everything else. Maybe you have Batum start at the 4 to set the tone defensively, because we know he can do that.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, because you want him later in the game. This was something they even used to talk about with Kawhi when he was first coming back from the ACL, but I think in general with players, because you want him later in the game and because he's only going to be playing 20 minutes or so a night, is starting Batum and then having him run cold for like maybe an hour before he gets back out there on the court in real time. Is that the issue?
Mm.
You know, I don't know, but I think it should be an option because he's still good at it. I also don't think that's great for Batum to have to go up against other starting 4s at 36 when he's turning in December.
We talk about Kawhi being maybe not physically able to hold up to the 4. We all love Nico Batum, but as you mentioned, and he's played a lot of basketball. He had Olympics and he had Eurobasket.
And he played, I think, the most minutes on France.
All of them.
Guarding Shea, guarding Schroeder.
Right.
Like, what a badass.
The 4 position, please don't send us any trade ideas yet.
No, send them to Chuck, guys. It's cool.
Send them to Will. Post Market, 123 Updike Avenue, Tokyo, Japan. I don't know what their zip codes are over there. I assume probably efficient and make total sense.
What's the Weezer song, Across the Sea on Pinkerton? You are 18-year-old Will who lives in a small city in Japan.
Yeah, I wonder if how Weezer feels about that one now.
You heard me on the
all
road.
right. I think that's kind of it in the Clippers verse until we most definitely have things to talk about after game 2. There may be a post-game stream. It depends if I listen to the game. I'm going to try and watch it. I'll do my best to listen to it, as everyone else should if it's only available on there. Are we doing a double dip tomorrow?
Probably. There's a lot up in the air. I'm going to be there in San Diego. Nobody knows how long they're giving us before they break stuff down. Maybe. I don't know.
That's fine.
Maybe it's on TV. Maybe we're doing a double tip.
We are the podcast of maybe, everybody. Are the Clippers going to win it all? Yes, we can give you a definitive answer to that. In Will's spirit, it is our year.
Dang, he just Gene Grayed you.
Whoa, no. Yeah, now he's mad at me. A full Clips and Dip episode will be out on Wednesday or Thursday, talking more preseason. Reviews help if you're listening to us. We do really appreciate it. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you watch us, I think you can only watch us at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. We appreciate that as well. Subscribe. We're going to be doing probably around 3 episodes per week during the season, unless some crazy winning streak starts, and then we just have to do an episode every day so we don't break that. Adam, as is tradition. Oh, if you're missing the dip segment, we got yelled at a lot for not talking about dips before this season. Basketball is back. We're not doing dips anymore. Unless you send us one that we absolutely have to try.
Is it going to be perishable or?
That's on them. They could
Try
send us the
freeze a
name of
dip.
it.
I
Yeah.
guess if it's Tostitos, it'll be good for 2026. Like,
Oh, that spicy Frito whatever bean dip I have, that's going in the old
yeah,
doomsday prep kit.
yeah, that'll outlive the apocalypse.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of June Gray,
Before we get out of here, Adam, one positive thing to send these Clippers fans out on this beautiful October evening.
I mean, first game of the preseason, held a team to 91 points. No, they couldn't stop him from getting that long three-pointer to go at the very end, and
Fucking
that was
Lindsey
impressive
Waters,
by
man.
Waters. But the defensive identity could be underway. This Clippers team, they knew the assignment, you could say, and I'm hoping that's going to keep going against Brooklyn tomorrow night because it is meaningful. Preseason basketball, training camp, building a culture, building an identity, things to fall back on when things get tough during the regular season. It all happens now. And I really like, man, James Harden is emitting a lot of leadership right now. He is showing off leadership skills like we've never seen before, maybe, or I don't know, at least as a Clipper. We're not as used to this from James Harden. He's only been here for a little bit, but it's cool to see him working with everyone. And I don't know. They haven't had obviously much of a vocal leader in the 2-1-3 era. James Harden certainly being a vocal leader right now for this Clippers team is good to see.
Hell yeah, it is. That wraps it up for us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, let's go Clips.